Welcome to the Misfit Squad Podcast,
where we invite you to embrace your difference and to discover a spectrum of possibilities and change what's wrong about you into what is strong about you.
Hey everyone, welcome to this week's episode of the Misfit Squad Podcast. Today we're talking about brain breaks. What's a brain break? Basically, or a better question, when do you need a brain break? So, is your brain about to explode? Or do you feel like your mental capacities are on overload? So, is the shut-in really getting to you and the kids? Maybe just a teeny tiny bit. So today we're going to share some physical brain breaks, some breathing brain breaks, and some mental brain breaks, all designed to help you create some more ease at home.
Yeah. Because I don't know if any of you are feeling frustrated, especially if you have to do a little bit of online schooling with your children. But that seems to be the ongoing theme as of right now. Parents are pulling their hair out or trying to squeeze all of the assignments in a short amount of time, and the kids are just frazzled. So these are just like actually little exercises and activities that you can do while you're doing homework or online schooling, and also when you just need something different and you need a little break. And one other thing, a lot of times what shows up are these behaviors, but underneath the behaviors is always a message. So what's the real story? It might be showing up as the kids are shouting out, I don't want to do any distance learning. I don't want to be online. But what's underneath that? And it could be, I miss my friends. I don't get to go hang out with them. I actually miss seeing my teachers. It's really hard to focus doing this freaking online stuff. It's just too much change. And a lot of it is also, they miss their routine. A lot of kids do really well when they have some kind of routine. So all of that being said.
Well, and I just want to point out for all the people who listen who don't have kids.
Yes.
I'm hearing similar complaints from my friends who don't have kids but who are working from home, only theirs are like, this is so irritating because I'm working so much more. Like there's this whole like feeling of needing to like deliver enough to justify getting to work from home, and they're finding like they don't know how to take breaks. They don't know how to, like, they're not eating lunch. They're actually not taking as good of care of themselves and their bodies when they're working from home.
Or it doesn't suit, well, like for the kids, it doesn't suit how they learn, but even as adults, it doesn't suit how you actually do your work. Like it doesn't.
Exactly. It's like it's throwing them all for a loop, and it's causing mental health issues.
But don't go outside because you should not go outside, and you should not go for a walk.
So I just want to point out that actually these things, all the things that we're going to talk about today, are really great if you're just by yourself working from home, and you're finding that sort of like overwhelm of like being at the desk and,
Yeah.
So it applies to you also. That's my point.
Yes, it does.
So let's start with the physical brain breaks.
Yes. So the physical, like, basically includes, obviously, physical, so movement, vigorous movement activities. So you can do things like yoga, maybe even as silly as all of this sounds. I know, right?
I hate yoga.
But this is why we're going to give you multiple things, because then you can choose what works for you or what doesn't work for you. And you don't have to do a bunch of it. Sometimes it's even getting up and moving for like a couple minutes, sometimes even 30 seconds makes a big difference.
Yeah. I mean, I noticed that like when I go into an office to work, I get up from my desk a lot. I walk around, I go get but I notice that when I work from home, I don't move from my chair as much. So for me, sometimes just getting up and walking around for like 30 seconds could be enough.
Yeah. You can totally do that. Like get up, go get a glass of water, but it's taking something physical. Like you can shake out the frustrations, but like for kids, like shake out the sillies, like literally like have
Right,
them
like stand up and do, literally like, okay, pause, stand up, do the wiggles
yes,
for like
everything.
20 seconds, literally like stomp your feet, do the wiggles. Okay. Like,
Yeah. Like kids, you can have them even wiggle like a worm, or even like lay on the floor on the, wherever they're at, outside, inside, on the.
or do you know what just I mean, if there's multiple kids, like what just popped into my head is like tag around the dining room table. Or, like what is, I know this is not politically correct, the words, but the Chinese fire drill, like when you get out of the car and swim around the driver, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you can.
But like around the dining room table. I don't know why that makes me laugh. Anyways.
Because it was fun, something we did. You can do, like have a dance party, play some music and actually dance.
Oh, that's a good idea. Turn one song, dance like nobody's watching.
Exactly.
Some more.
just turn your video camera off.
Yeah.
Or you don't have to either. Obviously push-ups, sit-ups,
jumping jacks. That's an easy in place one.
Yeah. And windmills, like when you put your arms out to the side and you go down and you touch your opposite foot and come back up and touch the opposite foot. That's amazing stuff to do. And it's actually really good, not just for the physical exercise, but it integrates your right and left hemisphere. So it helps you with like focusing. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, so really like anything, move your body, however is fun for you. But it's important because this type of brain break, it increases your blood flow, it increases your cardiovascular capabilities, it increases oxygen, and all of those things filter into every cell of your body to give it release and relaxation and ease.
Yes. Oh, one more thing too, for like, before we move on, like for kids, what's really could be fun to do is have them create an obstacle course at home. Like even like, building couch cushions and having them crawl, having them jump over things. And I know that's wrecking up your house. But sometimes, the whole activity of them having to make the obstacle course and then go through it so many times is great. And just on that note, if you are doing something like that and say they are in the middle of doing an assignment and it's something like, I don't know, spelling words, for instance, you can have the word written out on like a flashcard. They have to go get it, crawl through the obstacle course. And on the other side of the obstacle course is a piece of paper where they actually have to write it out. And then you're getting the whole entire physical movement, all the stuff we were talking about, the oxygen, all of that, the bilateral, integrating your right and left brain, and you get to do the spelling in the assignment. And it's a heck of a lot more fun, and I bet you they'll get it done a lot faster.
You could do that with some of your simple math problems too, right?
Mm-hmm. Totally.
Cool. So what's after physical brain breaks? What's another kind of brain break?
Breathing brain breaks. So this is more including like your deep breathing and visualization. And this is for really your mental health and including that time to regroup. And sometimes it's needed when like you get overwhelmed, like you're doing this task and this task, or you got this assignment to do, and it's getting you kind of back centered. Do you have anything else you want to say about breathing brain breaks?
No, I mean, they're one of my favorites, I think, because they're easy.
Yes.
And you can do, and these are ones especially that are easy to like apply forever moving forward, whether you're working from home or whatever, And it seems like such a simple, silly thing to suggest, but taking a minute and taking a deep breath and letting it out really does make a difference. And I don't know, I've noticed, like if I'm listening to something and someone tells me to take a deep breath in, it's like physically impossible not to.
Don't breathe.
So, but
even like, doing head rolls when you're sitting at your desk or and breathing with it. Yeah, go ahead. I cut you off.
You just got sort of like, I can't hear you super well. Can you turn your volume up maybe?
Is that better?
That's much better. So breathing brain breaks are a little bit right on the side of physical brain breaks, right? Because we did talk about like rolling your head, breath in, breath out.
You can do even like we mentioned this on a previous podcast, but you can do the 5-finger count breathing where you're like,
that's right.
Breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, and you do that all through 5 fingers, and you go back the other way, and then that's like 10 breaths. So there's that, and like even.
And I just have to, I don't know if we said this before, but that's actually a great way to get kids into the practice of breathing, because you can believe in crazy stuff or not believe in crazy stuff, but across the board, getting enough oxygen and being a good breather makes a difference for how people feel, especially with kids, and like being able to take deep breaths and get that your diaphragm moving that way. So the 5-finger count is a great way. It's really visual for the kids, and it also gives them something to do. So it's an excellent exercise to do with the kids.
Yeah. And another thing, you can like basically like lay down on the floor on your back. I mean, you could do it on your stomach too, but lay on the floor and take a deep breath, but actually imagine melting into the floor, into the carpet, into the earth, like deeper and deeper. Just imagine. It's kind of includes a little bit of visualization, but that also can be very, what you might want to call grounding for kids who need, when they're like really antsy and can't focus. And one more good one for like the breathing, like if you are working with kids, is taking whatever their work, it depends on the age range. So you got to think about what they're working on. But for instance, like ABCs, you can air write the ABCs while breathing. So write your capital A, your capital B. So you go through the alphabet while breathing. And you can make it shorter. You don't even have to do the whole alphabet, or do numbers 1 through 10. Or something else they're working on, but it's basically the same thing as pulling in a little bit of the physical component while you're breathing.
Cool. So then the last set of brain breaks are mental brain breaks.
Yes.
So these are tasks that involve a lot of concentration or switching gears from a high concentration task to a low concentration task, or vice versa. So an example of that would be like playing a game or answering trivia questions or telling jokes.
Doing puzzles. And you can do lots of different things like finding, if you're in a room and the kids are in a room doing their schooling, they can take a break by like, hey, find 10 things in the room that are green. Or find one object of every color of the rainbow and have them pointed out. It's basically taking their mind off of like what they were doing and getting it to expand or focus on other things so they can come back without having all that distraction. What else was I going to say? You can also like imagine that your thoughts are like birds. Sounds weird, but you can imagine your thoughts are like birds and allow each thought to like fly away. I mean, those are good like visualization things for kids.
Well, so this is, I don't know why this is popping into my head, but like something where they're like tactile with different textures. So like squishing their fingers in a bowl of wet sand, or I don't know, putting a hand in like pebbles or rice, or I don't know, something about like the tactile the tactileness of different sensations.
Yeah, you're getting the touch and the different sensations. So you could do, for as a break, like a really awesome thing to do is get a bag of rice or a bag of beans, and you put it in like a little
dried beans, right? Dried beans, just to be clear.
Not cooked beans, not slimy wet beans. I mean, you could do slimy wet beans. That's a different texture, but
messy.
The messier. So you can just use dry beans, or they have like that magnetic rice. But you can, magnetic rice, sorry, magnetic sand, where you can.
Oh, that magnetic sand is so cool.
Yeah. But all of that stuff, you basically are getting your hands in. And one thing that I like to do with like the rice or the beans, or even shredded paper you can use, if you have shredded paper in your office, and put it in a box, you hide things in it and you allow the kids to dig through and find it. It's like a treasure hunt kind of thing. And then they also get all that tactile input. And it gives them that break without it being crazy. So these are things you can do in different places. Even like playing I Spy, like I spy this. Can you find that? Yeah.
So cool. So we have physical brain breaks, we have breathing brain breaks, and we have mental brain breaks. All of them add to learning by changing focus, providing a quick focus, and really, given the circumstances of everything going on, we need breaks. We have to take breaks, even if they're short, right? And we needed the kids, especially, right? In school, they need that anyways, but like the need for that now is like exponentially more. Yeah. So plan them, be conscious about them, and plan the different kinds and see if that doesn't help create ease for you and for them.
And with all that being said, sometimes too, it's just removing yourself from the environment or the space that you're in and moving to a different room or a different space to be able to complete something. You know, sometimes you have to have that variety. And one thing I suggest a lot of times is like having an indoor tent or even a huge cardboard box, and they can get in, and that's where they get to do some of their homework, or they get to do some of their things, because it's their little quiet zone. It's their like little space. Or that's where they get their little break and they get to play a video game for a few minutes. Or
I used to have bunk beds for a long time. I had bunk beds, like way older than you're supposed to have bunk beds, because I had like a room that was like barely bigger than a closet in one of the houses that I lived in. But I used to like hang a blanket over from the top bunk, and I used to go hide in the bottom bunk all the time. Again, when I was probably older than I should be admitting to doing that. But I'm just confirming that the tent large box thing might be a fantastic idea.
Well, it creates that space and to get away from everything. And sometimes you need that. We need that even as adults.
Something I've seen online, actually, if you have this, I think really only works if you have like smaller kids. You know, if you've got like 4-year-old, you know, smaller kids in the house, and a smaller like table. But I've seen them take a blanket and tie it around the table and knot it, and it basically creates under the table a hammock that the kids can lie in the hammock and like read underneath the table. So they kind of get both things. Anyways, I always think that looks like fun also.
That is very fun. And something along those same lines that's different but similar, if like a physical brain break, take a big sheet or a big beach towel, depending on the size of the kids, but they can get on it and you can pull them around the house. Or they're being smaller, you can put them in a laundry basket and tie something, a rope or something, like a belt or something, and pull them. I mean, this stuff works.
It does, but that one creates a funny, like, when they're 30 in the therapist office, and my mother, she used to put me in a laundry basket and drag me around the house. Can you believe that?
Well, or, you know, maybe
oh my God, that makes me laugh.
Maybe a box would be better. I'm just kidding. I'm so kidding.
Anyways, I think also the point is to have a little bit of fun with it.
Yeah, it is. But doing the blanket thing is amazing, because you can get movement along with it, and it is fun.
All right, well,
so that is like some activities that you can do at home or other places to give yourself a break, whether that's a brain break, whether that's physical, whether that's mental, or whether that's breathing.
All right, that's it then. So take lots of breaks, be good to your body,
and have some fun.
And check out what we're talking about next week.
All right.
Talk to you guys later. Bye. Thank you for listening to the show.
Our target is to make your awareness easy to use and to acknowledge the power of not fitting in.
If you enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe to our channel on YouTube and share it with someone you know.
Why fit in when you were born to stand out?
Embrace your difference. Join the Misfit Squad.